Glow on YouTube. And hello on Facebook. How are y'all? How was your weekend? How was your weekend? I'm just trying to get comfy. Hope your weekend was well. And whoever is jumping on, do me a favor before I forget. Just hit the share button. That's all you need to do. Hit that share button. Come on in. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Hit the share button because sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. I hope all is good and you have come on to Let's Talk About Africa. Today is Monday, December 9th. We started this over 2 months ago. I'm proud of you and I'm also proud of me. Over 2 months ago, but I was determined and I am determined and I'm really loving this journey talking about Africa and all 54 countries. So we are tonight going to talk about South Africa, honey. We talked about Somalia. On Friday, we left off on Somalia. And today we are doing South Africa. South Africa is so exciting. South Africa is so massive. So there's a lot of things to do. So I'm just going to say right off that I give South Africa 5 African handbags. What is it, Libo? I give 5 African handbags to South Africa. So we're going to talk about South Africa. South Africa is massive. South Africa really started off the chain of repatriation, Black folks, the diaspora, really looking at options of change for us. Thank you, the great Nelson Mandela, the ANC, to push forward such a movement that South Africa is one of the forefront, just massive mega cities, not just in Africa, but throughout the world. Highly respected, tons of money, tons of resources. Because guess what? Like I said, Africa is sitting on resources. Africa is sitting on diamonds, gold, ore, oil, iron. Like everything. And South Africa is there. South Africa has those diamonds, honey. And it still prospers, even though, the colonizers did come and really make their profit. So again, I always say, every time you go to Portugal, every time you go to France, just remember whose money funded it, whose resources funded it. Okay. Kaden, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, so those 2 countries, as I have seen, and this is just fact. I'm not trying to beat up on anyone. It's just fact. And I guess it was just a thing in the day, but that's, how it was. So all the beauty and all of what Portugal is a cool place, and there's a lot of people, and especially Black people, moving to Portugal. So it seems like it has reckoned itself, but Portugal was in there, really making a whole lot of money off Africa, and so did France. France and Portugal, the two culprits. And then you have some, you have a Italy, a little, with some of the countries, Britain, of course. So anyway, so South Africa, amazing. So South Africa, going back, probably millions of years or 100,000 millions of years, but it was discovered in 1488 by Portuguese, of course, and they originally called it the Cape of Storms, right? So then, it seems like the Cape is um, the big adjective there. Okay, so it's the Cape of Storms. Then they had Cape Point, then Cape of Good Hope, then Cape Town. So everything kind of circles around uh, South Africa. So South Africa was so intriguing, so lit. I definitely, I'm putting South Africa on my list, personal list, Gloria's favorite list for 226 because my 225 is pretty busy. But I'm really going to make a point of traveling to the continent, to not the continent, to South Africa for 2026 because it has awesome places. It has everything. So you have almost like a Kenya thing. So, but Cape Town, I don't want to say not Cape Town, South Africa. Yeah, it sounds, I'm trying to think how large South Africa is compared to Kenya. But anyway, other than that, South Africa has Johannesburg. That's the city. You get lit. You have your restaurants, your fine dining, your upscale apartments. All you have the city life in Johannesburg. And I did look at Johannesburg to move when I first started the quest, um, looking at Africa. Who's this? Lottie, welcome. I want to welcome you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk About Africa. I'm Glow, and we are talking about South Africa. Put a one in the chat if y'all have been to South Africa or planning to go in the next 12 months. I would love to get that feedback. I am going in 2026 because my 2025 is pretty filled. But in my research and what I've known of South Africa, and I know a lot of people over in South Africa doing business, Americans, Africans. I know people from South Africa. So I'm very, very excited to um, to travel there. Give me one moment. I don't want my computer to die. So yes, so South Africa, interestingly enough, we talk about the capitals. South Africa actually has three capitals, not just one. It has Cape Town, where I thought the capital was Johannesburg, but Cape Town is a capital, and they have the capital. The capitals represent different things that they need to do. Like they may have a legislative capital, they may have a capital that operates in another function. So that's really, really cool. So their capitals are Pretoria. Now, Pretoria is in Johannesburg, if you want to be technical about it. And then you have Cape Town. Cape Town is drop dead gorgeous. Okay. So Cape Town and like Durban. If you are into, if you're a beachy girl like me, I want some beach, sun, sand, clear water. Cape Town is it. And in South Africa, you are able to do everything. That's what I love. Courtney, welcome. That's what I love about South Africa. you could do everything. So you have the mountain, right? So um, you can hike the mountains, explore the mountains. You have Table Mountain there. You have the whole big, beautiful coast. I know a lot of y'all, if you've looked at South Africa, have just seen that whole, coast of South African island with the different mountains and the beautiful coastline. You have the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coastline, the beautiful beaches that you can take advantage of. Of course, you have, when you have those mountains in the tropic that's very eco friendly, um, uh, resources that you have. Um, South Africa is also known for the hot air balloons that are just so magical. So you can do the hot air balloons while you're there. You can hike, okay? Go on the Table Mountain. You can do a couple things to get to Table Mountain, right? So you can, if you just want to be with nature, you can hike, but you can also take the cable car. So I don't know, you could be adventurous on one end and hike, or adventurous on the other end and go through the air on a cable. I don't know what y'all want to do. Tell me what y'all want to do. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat for me. I'm real interested. I'm real interested. Put in the chat how you would get to Table Mountain. Would you hike or would you take a cable car? Put that in the chat. I'm interested in knowing. I am interested in knowing. Yeah. So as I was saying, they have several, and tons of diamonds there also, like I said. And the beaches are drop dead. So they have one beach, it's called the Boulders Beach. And the Boulders Beach, because in South Africa, like different places are known for different animals. So Kenya has a reputation of the giraffes, okay, the giraffes and maybe the zebras. And you're in Rwanda and Botswana, they have the reputation of like the gorillas. uh, South Africa, they have the reputation. Still, you could still do the what's the name of it? You could still do the safari, but they have the African penguins. Have y'all seen the African hike? Maybe I don't exactly know. Um, yeah, so yeah, I don't know if I would want to hike, because hiking here and hiking like in another country, especially Africa, I don't know if I could do it. Like, that's intense. You got to be a pro hiker, I think. It's not like, oh, we're just going down the trail at the Chattahoochee, or we're in Virginia, like a little trail. Oh, I'm going to Browns Island and do it. No, it's not that type of. It is not that type of hike, okay? So I don't know. Maybe I just hold my breath and close my eyes and take the cable car and just pray it don't snap. But instead of a long walk, I don't know. But when you get there, a lot of times you just fall right into just being, like Rome, the Romans in Rome. So probably either would be cool with me. So yeah, so we're talking about the beach. They have great beaches, and they have a Boulders Beach where you could see the African penguins that are really, really cool. And as I mentioned, you go to Cable Mountain, you can hike up there, or you could take the cable car, you could do the penguin tour. And then you go up to Cape Point, okay? Cape Point is a couple of nice places to go and see. But what's really cool about South Africa is so modern. And so I don't want to say Western, it's modern, it's built up, the infrastructure. So You have the best of restaurants to go to while you're there. It's very, very metropolitan. So you have rooftop restaurants. One is called the Two Oceans, and really, really nice high end restaurants. They have high end restaurants, they have high end clubs, they have really, really international markets that you can go and buy goods, but also buy goods from not just South Africa, but they have vendors from all over the world. That's really, really cool. And let me see what it's called, the old. If y'all can write this down, the Old Biscuit Mill, and that's a big farmers market in Cape Town. That's a must see, a must see, and a must do. So they have all different type of vendors for wares, for food, for anything. And what takes it to the next level is it's not just local. It's vendors from all over the world, and the market is massive, 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 massive. You can definitely go to Johannesburg too and check out different things to do in Johannesburg. Johannesburg is like the city. So to equate, if you live, in Atlanta, in Georgia, or New York, it's a New York City type of vibe. Johannesburg, of course, it is middle of the city. So many things to see and do, and also some other good cultural um, excursions is going to the Cape of Hope. And since this is South Africa, you're able to go to Robins Island to get all of the history with Nelson Mandela, learn about apartheid, learn about the ANC, and how that part of Africa, um, South Africa, has basically done a 180 compared to where they were 30 years ago. Where they were 30 years ago, excuse me, since the weather's changed, I'm so sorry. I'm just so dehydrated. I really need to have about 4 of these bottles a day, to be quite honest. But anyway, um, yes, so the experience uh, in, I just had a lost train of thought. I am so sorry. Um, with South Africa, just so many things. Oh, with the ANC. So 30 years ago, we saw on TV every night. It looked just like what's going on in the Gaza, but worse because it was very targeted, and they had the military police killing people. It was terrible. Apartheid was terrible, and they were going in, burning down. Um, um, what do they call it? Not the villages, but when you go further out, they call it, I forgot what they call it, townships. And the white folks was going in, and some even, uh, people locally that was connected to certain entities and going into different small communities or townships and just burning them down and running the people out, taking it over. But an interesting story was really my start to the African journey during COVID. I'm not sure if I shared this story with y'all. During COVID, I was home in front of the TV. I had network TV then, and all you saw was killing of black men here. And my son was like 17, but he was like 6'2", dark skinned, but like the target. And people really don't talk about a black mother's fear of their black son in this United States. So I would be a nervous wreck because he was 17. He didn't care. He was hanging out with his friends in school. We live in pretty much like a predominantly white neighborhood, and uh, he didn't think anything of it because that was just what he was around. And but I was a nervous wreck if he says he's coming home at 11:07 comes, I'm shaking, and that's just a terrible feeling. But yeah, so I said I got to get me and my child out of here. So I had planned to go. I was doing my research on South Africa, and I was looking at Joburg because at that time I was selling. Yeah, I was selling Range Rovers then, and I was reaching out to the dealerships out there to see if they hire women. So no one responded, so I guess they don't. And I was just doing my due diligence of trying to get employment out there. But fast forward, this is a tip for everyone: don't try to look for a job in the continent because you're going to be so upset of what they pay. So don't think you're getting U.S. pay when you go over there. I don't care what you're doing. So the tip for today is to position yourself where you have residual income, and it doesn't have to be that much. A friend of mine told me, and then I've read in some other places, if you have $2,000 a month, that's only $24,000 a year gross, and really net, not say gross, net. And you have $2,000 residual income coming in, you chilling like a villain, and you really are. Because I lived there for 3 months, and I think $500 a month I may have spent. That's like spending money all in, going out to eat, motorbike, buying little stuff. That's outside of rent, but 500 per month, if that. I don't even think it was that much because I don't think it was that much. It may have been only because I went to party on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I went to the clubs. So, between drinks and stuff, but just like a basic regular, you may not spend over $300 a month. But cost of living there outside of your rent, and your rent, um, since South Africa is a bit more expensive, your rents may be probably half of what you're paying in the States, because South Africa, if you want to live in like the areas like Sandtown or Pretoria, okay, that's going to be a bit pricey, but nice area, definitely less than the United States. But you got to still have some decent income, because if you're getting an apartment, a two-bedroom apartment, and it may be, I don't know, 600, three-bedroom, 1,000. If you get something nice, it may be a two-bedroom that's 1,000. But the difference that you run into there, a lot of times it comes with its service. So you have your housekeeper, you have a concierge downstairs, and that's only $1,000 a month. So yeah, so that's the cost of living. But what, yeah, I would suggest is that you make sure you plan and set yourself up for success, right? So let me see what else we have here. So the experiences are great, and the food is outstanding. Of course, since like if you're in Cape Town, you're near the water, so you can take advantage of the fish and all of that. So it's a place. Put this down in the notes. So if you plan on going, you have different places to check out. It's called the Cape Town Fish Market, and is right at the VA waterfront. So that is the spot if you want to go have some great seafood, and it's right at the waterfront. And it's called the Cape Town Fish Market. And then you have the two oceans. So that's pretty cool. And what else we got going on? So excellent uh, information. You don't need a visa if you have a U.S. passport. Told you that U.S. passport is powerful. If you have a U.S. passport, you are not required to have a visa. You do not need a visa. When you get over there, though, mode of transportation is pretty much Ubers. So utilize them, and they're not that expensive. Do not take taxi. Um, Another tip I do suggest that you take Uber and you put it through the app. Definitely. Put it through the app. Do not like kind of do any shortcuts because you don't want to get overcharged. And if you are in a new country, you want to know that you're going to go where you're going to go. And I believe Uber has, GPS where the people have to go on or stay on a certain route. And not saying that it's dangerous there, but Johannesburg is a city, a very densely populated city. So the more people, the more problems. So what else? Interesting fun fact. So you know how in the United States or anywhere in the diaspora, you have black people. Okay, everybody black, but I may be this shade. You may run into someone that's darker or lighter, so you call them light skin or whatever, dark skin. But everybody black. Do you know that there is a culture, a subset that is not black people, but colored people in South Africa? That's what they are. They're colored people. And basically what that is, it's a mix. You're mulatto. But it is technically a a race. Isn't that interesting? So the colored class is multiracial. So it's mixed. But we have it when you're in the United States or any place else, you may be multiracial, but you still black. Pretty much they do distinguish if you're multiracial, if you are core black or not, is they base it on the father. So if the father is African, you black. If your father is white, you white, colored. You're white colored or black colored, wild. So it's a couple of neighborhoods um, in the Johannesburg and all that area, and it's called Eden Park, and it's not Johannesburg in Cape Town, and it's called Eden Park, and that's is a heavily resided neighborhood of coloreds, not black people. I'm going to repeat that again. They don't call themselves blacks, they call themselves colored because they're multiracial. They're not like straight Zulu when both of their parents are Zulu, South African. They're mixed race, so they're called coloreds. Deep, isn't it? Deep. Anybody have any questions so far? And it's about 1,600 round trip, depending on when you travel. And depending on where you're traveling out of, it could be 12 to 16 hours, 18 hours or more to go to South Africa. So it's a bit of a lengthy trip. But as I shared with y'all, uh, I can put you on a layover and you can enjoy a trip within a trip. So that's really exciting also. What else? Anybody have any questions before I end? I'm trying not to keep you all long. Any questiones? Any questiones? So yeah, talked about, and the seasons are pretty stable year round. And what else? What else do I have going on here for South Africa? Oh, so again, I told you it's the main place is Johannesburg, so they call him Joburg. Then Cape Town, of course, and then Durban also is a coastal, beautiful, beautiful town. So from what was shared with me, and as I mentioned, I have some friends that travel there a lot. They said that Durban, you will find a lot of Indians, and with that, even though they may not be blatant racist, there is a colorism uh, energy in South Africa. So, um, and the crazy thing is from the city center, where, the city center, it gets darker and darker and darker. So if you're in the city center and you have the high rise buildings, the nice restaurants, and the outdoor restaurants, you see, more white, more light. And then as you go out into the townships, you see that the hue just gets dark and dark. And by the time you're way, way out in a township, it's all Afrikaans, all Afrikaans. So that's very interesting. And just the involvement just blows my mind of South Africa from 30 years ago to now. Total 180. Y'all can definitely look that up on the involvement. Nelson Mandela really sacrificed, Winnie Mandela sacrificed the South African people, the Afrikaans, the Zulus sacrificed, where um, South Africa uh, is where it is, and South Africa is doing very, very well. I follow several YouTubers that are former, they lived in the States and now they're in South Africa, living seriously, living their best life. They have mansions that are just undescribable. And I live in Atlanta and I've seen some bad mansions here in Atlanta. But in South Africa, in Joburg, in Pretoria, and Sandtown, like the mansions are off the chain. And I know that at the time I first started looking, so I know it's very expensive now. You could get like a 5 bedroom, 5,000 square mansion. This was when did I start looking? 2020, and it was 300 grand. So I know those same homes are 700,000. So if y'all are thinking, and that's what we're, talking about is traveling. And then when we go through the series again, we're going to talk about living there. It's the pros and cons of living there. And I love to always share information. You can definitely check out The Real South Africa. And they show a lot of just day to day life. They are repatriation specialists. They've been doing relocation and trying to get people to come over for a minute since the last administration. And they're doing very well. And actually, they're from Georgia. The wife I don't know if she still does I think she's a chiropractic, chiropractor. And then the husband worked for the federal government. So they decided to retire there and doing very well. But in the meantime, when they were telling people about coming over, they just turned into a business, being a repatriation specialist, relocation specialist for the diaspora. So you can definitely check them out. Let me get some questions and let me see what's going on. We use that term here. I noticed in the 50s or 60s, but not as much now. What 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 term, Miss Courtney, do we use? I missed that. Repatriation. What what term do we use, Miss Courtney? Put that in the chat for me, because I don't know what term you're using. Yeah. So without a doubt, South Africa's a winner. Um, and South Africa really started all of this. And we have to thank Nelson Mandela, that never gave up, 26 years um, in Robben's Island. So when you go, you have to visit Robben's Island, uh, and just get all of the history in, with the transatlantic slave trade, and then everything that, and apartheid, really apartheid is South Africa. Uh, the Atlantic slave trade is more Ghana, but where it transcended was in South Africa. South Africa popped it off for us to be living a whole different life, living our best lives as Black people. And I love it. So definitely check that out. Again, I always share with y'all, if you would like um, an itinerary, a 5-day itinerary of uh, the country we're talking about today. I am happy to share it with you complimentary for the first 24 hours. So you can get a complimentary itinerary to South Africa, 5 days. After that, it's it's $5.99, $6.99, $5.99. Just go on glampluxetravels.com, or email me at info@glampluxetravels.com, or glampluxetravels at Gmail, either or send me a message, and I will get that to you. And also, the same with the 2025 Africa Only Travel Guide is ready to rock and roll, and real easy digital copy comes right to you. And then I do have the repatriation and relocation guide. It is called Coming Home, and it is the African American relocation guide to give you step by step information on preparing to move to the continent of Africa. So definitely get all three, one, two, three. Definitely check it out so we can do this. So I think tomorrow, what's tomorrow? We did some Sudan. Sudan is tomorrow. The term colored. Oh yeah, back in the 50s, yeah. No, nobody better call us colored. I've run into a couple of older white women, like in the 80s, 90s, that was like, yeah, that colored girl. You don't call Black people in America colored no more. No, no, you don't do that. But no, they It's not like it is a race, and they're called colored, and that's what they want to be addressed as, colored, not black. So it's almost kind of like a slight no, because a lot of folks was talking about they love black folk too, but their racial makeup is colored. Like, yeah, they used to call us colored, but they called us colored as a collective, not as a group. So that's the difference. In 2024, in South Africa, not in Africa, not in the rest of the country, South Africa, they have a racial subset that is called coloreds. COLOURED. Coloreds. Okay? So it's like light skin here or mixed race. Not light skin, but mixed, biracial. So anyway, any other questions before we tie this up? It's 9:45. I always say, oh, I want to do it for 30 minutes. It rolls. I don't know what happens, but it rolls until almost an hour. But I want to thank y'all so much. Any questions, y'all know what to do. Definitely look out for your info, your follow up info. So always check your messenger. Please share. Just push the share button. You don't have to call anybody. Just push the share button, because sharing is caring. And instead of people asking you all the questions, they could see it on the line, okay? Because they're not going to listen to you anyway. You just going to be talking. So I want to thank y'all so much. My name is Gloria Miss G, 50 Shades of Glow. And we are on 50 Shades of Glow, Africa Awaits. I'm still trying to get that together. YouTube was all in my business, and they blocked my live streaming. So I have to like tape and then play it. They didn't like what I was saying in my first couple of episodes. So, but I am live on Facebook and YouTube, 50 Shades of Glow, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Definitely check. Bring a friend, please. And I want you to stay strong and make sure, remember, we're making a change. We're not playing checkers. We're playing chess. Please buy black. We can do this. Y'all take care. Bye.